everybody for the opportunity to be here. I am Teresa. I am a PhD in Theatre and Performance Studies, and I currently did my PhD last April, so my research is quite young and also has already quite evolved in a way. And I decided, I decided to focus this presentation on the intersection, and also we can say transaction between critical animal studies and performance studies, since I am an anti-speciesist scholar and I collaborate with Liberazioni journal, which is the first and now the only one journal on anti-species critique in Italy. And my research, my PhD research was around this way of disrupting current performance, in particular performance based on the cohabitation between the human and the animal, so where they both are on stage, literally or metaphorically as well, and conceptually, of course. And starting with the figure, which I utilized to present this friction and this conflictual, we can say, presence. And I will present my research and also its current developments through a first part where I go deep into the genealogies of animal performance studies, which is actually a current discipline, transdiscipline, I would say, which took place in 2022 during a conference which tried to make these two disciplines, critical animal studies and performance studies, together. Then I will go into epistemologies, which basically comes from an article that I just published for performance research, where I went into and deep into the figure of animal spectre developed by Nicole Shukin, sociologist Nicole Shukin. And the last part will be on zoontology, which is a concept developed by another scholar, and then I utilized this concept in my PhD thesis to try to not give an answer but open other questions about how can we deal with this matter of the animals on the scene, both in an ethical way and also in a conceptual and we could say epistemological way. First of all, I will start with the we can say the final answers that I gave in my thesis, which is the way in which cohabitation between human and animal is presented on scene. I found these two ways to represent this in the contemporary grasping from the last century to the current one. And I found these two between the immanent togetherness, and we could say when we see in the sociological place in the society, we could say, for example, when we see a situation in the domestic place where animal and humans live together in an harmonious way, and also an immanent separation, which is the opposite, and it's where we see conflictual representation of this coexistence inside society, and then obviously inside the theater, which is a mirror of this. And the thing that change this kind of this choice between these two representations is the despecialization, which is a concept Sarah Colling developed in 2020 in a book which is called Animal Resistance. And she said that we change our view of our coexistence between human and animal in the moment where animals cross the borders that we gave them or not. For example, if we think about the zoo is a place where usually is represented like in harmonious cohabitation where children goes, meet animals in a friendly attitude. And in the moment when an animal escape a zoo or escape a truck or a farm, it immediately becomes like a dangerous thing that we must fight to go back to that immanent togetherness that we are supposed to live. These two representations, by the way, are anthropocentric and also are very essentialist, have a very essentialist view of relationships, since they don't take account of the situated situations, based on Haraway situated knowledge. From this point of view, from this point of my research, I want to go deep into the genealogies of what try to, we can say, dismantle these two forms of representation, dismantling, first of all, representations of animals itself. During the 1990s, two rising turn, we can say, lead to the formation of animal performance studies. One of that was critical animal studies, which is a discipline that systematized, we could say, because it was discussed before, but was systematized between the 1990s and year 1990s. Against the human-animal studies, saying that this kind of studies didn't address the ethical and political part of animal studies, just focusing on the behavioral aspect of this coexistence, and also without addressing the problem of exploitation, of animal exploitation. At the same time, during that years, and since 1990s till the early 2000s, there were a few feminist eco-criticists, in particular Una Chaudhuri, Teresa Masini, and also Erika Monk. They were theater scholars who started to criticize the current ecological theater. They said that the current ecological theater was inside an eco-canon that didn't very much expresses in the same way as the topic that it tried to bring into the spectacles, into the performances. And in particular, Una Chaudhuri, I don't remember the exact word, but she says something like, we need to make ecology not just a theme, but a methodology. And this was the first, we can say, rise of the ecological performance in that way in the Western scholarship, and also coming from all the post-human thought of the 80s and developing in a new materialist perspective and thought. Animal performance studies, as I said, were systematized as a discipline in 2022 during a conference led in Bologna by Laura Pugliesi, which tried to make together a lot of scholars and artists which worked with or for, we can say, animals, and during their artwork, art research or academic research. And from that, what this kind of conference that then became a book, co-edited, was the passage of animals in theater from symbols and archetypes to subjects able to have an agency, able to give something to the performance, which was not just the a reflection of a human thought, a human idea or ideology. In particular, animal performance studies are very connected and based on animal standpoint theory, which Ernst Hoy, she developed these concepts starting from the standpoint theory developed by Dr. Haraway, which is based on a situated epistemology, so opposite to the thing that I was saying before about the essentialist point of view about relationships. So it's also a political practice and based on relationality and dependence. So it's not just an object, it's not a subject, a human subject and an animal object, but they co-create the artwork. And at the same time, the topic and matter of voice and representation. Since during the development of anti-speciesist thought, which was very against the animalistic current, which tried to say that the animal had no voice and the animalist group needed to give voice for animals, speak for animals. The animal standpoint tried to dismantle this theory, try instead to present representation as a way to distantiate and also to cancel a voice that actually exists. For example, Sarah Colling, in her Animal Resistance book, she writes just about that, arguing that animal resistance is a thing that is happening in society, and we can see this when some cows, some pigs rebel against their perpetrators, and also in other occasions we could see that. And now I will like to pass to the epistemologies part of my research. Nicole Shukin, in a book she wrote in 2009, but was translated in Italian just a few years ago, which is Animal Capital, Rendering Life in Biopolitical Times. She develops this figure, which is that of the animal spectre. In the animal spectre, Shukin draws on Derrida's notion of ontology in the Spectres of Marx, to argue that animals occupy a paradoxical, we can say, situation or status in capitalist modern society after they died. They persist, she says, as spectral cultural commodities, which is a literal or physical commodity, like bodies when they are transformed into products like leather, gelatin for film stock, because in the cinema of the origins, the film stock were made of the remains of the animal, the livestock animal, after they've been slaughtered, and also semiotically, so through representations that turn animals into mascots, logos, or animation, or other symbolic figures. So the animal spectre for Shukin arises where the two rendering in an infinite cycle of reproduction, possible reproduction, overlap together. This is an example, like the spectre owns the threshold between culture and capital, visibility and violence, reminding us that every symbolic rendering of the animal is shadow, but it's material exploitation. Starting from this idea that the animal owns us through the cultural world of commodities, I started to think, also together with another scholar, about a possible resistance perspective of the animal spectre. So not just something that reminds us of something that was removed, that was subjected, that was exploited and then killed, but something that can continue to work and to cross our lives, mostly through art. In Jill Langford, in 2015, during a conference on the hunting in psychology, she wrote this essay where she tried to understand how we can think about ontology for the other than human. And I'm analyzing this work, which is Inexplicable, a short story from the early 20th century. She developed the concept of zoontology. In this, I just try to give an insight into this short story. We are in a colonial settlement in New Guinea, where a family starts a new life in a new house, a woman and a man, and there are, at a certain point, there is this very uncanny atmosphere, and these crocodiles, which are painted on the walls of the house, start to take life and like ghosts on something that want revenge about them. And this is very interesting because she tried to connect, she in particular also another scholar, Kim Fu-Chen, who tries to take what she said and bring this in the art scene and performance scene mostly. During that period where the story is set, there was like an entanglement of colonial exploitation and animal exploitation, in particular crocodile leather. And this entanglement of oppression and this entanglement of a way of resist also to one's own death is something that I found particularly interesting, and I tried to bring that to contemporary performance and to try if I can find some places and some case studies where zoontology expresses itself as a way to resist exploitation, but from human and non-human, which at that point are not really in a real binary situation. In this way, in this artwork, Adriana Barejao creates different sets of installation with this fake meat, which in a sort of way comes out from the architecture previously built by specific ex-colonial constructions. And so in this particular artwork we can see how the remains and the material remains overflow human construction in a way that uncannies but also disrupt a view and a gaze which is not so much content to see something which usually is in the regime of invisibility, like the livestock industry, which stands outside the cities and outside the vision and smell and ears of people who then will enjoy that, will be part of that cycle. Another work that I want to show you, as all this work has not real animals, and that's something that I found really complex to arrive, but also like an answer that I think that I arrived to, like also a value, because animal spectre itself must be something which is evoked but not present in the scene. This is a work. I will start to make the video go on while I talk. This is a video, artwork from 2024, so 1 year ago, and from Marvin Tuomo. It's named Rectum Crocodile, and it's a sort of revenge from the bodies present on the scene, intersecting the colonial revenge and colonial also dignity and anti-colonial dignity and post-colonial, and intersecting with the animals and their way to feel oppression.
Sentiamo il suono, Teresa.
Another work of this animal spectre taking its own way on the performative scene is that of Anna Maria Limones, The notte è il mio giorno preferito, The Night is My Favorite Day, from 2019. What is more interesting about this work, which I had the privilege to meet the performer and to have a chat about it, it was the research that came before that work, which also dismantled the way we are supposed to enjoy and to express representation through a stage, through some performance, and through a restitution of an experience. She did a restitution, and this is what we have, and the video I will show you, but she was mostly interested in what it brought her here, which is a research of during a period of some months in Switzerland, where she tried to follow the traces of a sort of animal, probably a wolf, which she will never encounter in these woods. So it's like she's follow a presence which in a certain way is a shadow of herself, and also to try to enter this unanthropocide place, a place which is not anthropocide yet, at least, starting from the standpoint of a human. So it's a relation that she tried to make with the nature, which is not real nature anymore, because she's entering that, and also humans are entering these forests. And what it came out, it's a dance, a choreography, which give a restitution or the remains that that the animal spectre can leave on someone's passage.
Teresa, we cannot listen to the sound.
Okay, I just read on the chat. And that's it. So thank you so much. And